Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough, and right in the nick of time, Games Workshop was kind enough to send out these two new battletomes. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the Daughters of Khaine one, and I just finished recording my Hedon Knights of Slaanesh one, and they dropped at the exact same time today, so you go ahead and check those out. If you're watching this one and you want to watch the other, thank you so much for watching, and again, thank you to Games Workshop for sending me these. Let's talk about some Daughters of Khaine. Alright, here we are, and as you can see, beautiful artwork on the front cover. I freaking love it. Daughters of Khaine, honestly, is not my favorite army in terms of... it's just not high on my list of things that I want to play. However, I will say that the facelift they have gotten recently between the Broken Realms book and all that kind of stuff, I think it's just done a lot to make the faction far more interesting to me. If you're looking for lore-wise, I'm going to talk about the lore far more in the next coming week or maybe two, something like that. However, I will say it does bring the timeline up to the fall of Anvilgard and that kind of stuff. So it's not like the book is too far behind. You know, it's right up there, and I absolutely appreciate that. So we have the same, pretty much the same lore. I read over quite a few of them. The only real entries that are added are the Endless Spells and the Khainite Shadow Stalkers, as well as the newest host, I believe, that was, or temple that was in the Fury of Hagnar. Yeah, that was in the Broken Realms book. I apologize. So let's talk about some allegiance abilities. Now here's the deal. Here's how I always preface these kinds of reviews that I do. I am not going to read this entire book to you. What I'm going to do is go through the allegiance abilities, the spells, some of the temples, that kind of stuff, and really ask the question, does this book allow me to read some incredibly cool lore and then create an army that reflects that I can bring to the tabletop, right? I'm not worried about power level. I'm not worried about points. Could not care less. If you are interested in those things, no shame. That's awesome. The channel that I always point people to is Guerrilla Miniature Gaming. Ash, I believe every time a battletome drops, he just straight up reads it. So if you just want the information, go ahead and check out his channel. He's a great guy. For me, you know, I'm just going to be covering the stuff that really adds flavor to the rules. And then again, asking the question, how much fun can I have? Does it let me bring, you know, my murder bikini girls to the table? That's basically it. So kicking off with allegiance abilities, we have Blood Rights, which is super crazy awesome name. Friendly Daughters of Khaine unit gain an ability each battle round as shown below. Note the abilities are cumulative. Units have the abilities of the current battle round and each previous one. Yes, that's what cumulative means. Alright, so battle round 1. So this applies to everything. You can reroll 1 rolls of 1 for that unit. Perfect. Now, round 2, you can reroll 1 rolls when making charge rolls. Sorry, you can reroll rolls of 1 when making charge rolls. Fantastic. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made with melee weapons by this unit. In addition, friendly avatars of Kane are automatically animated. Love that one. Gives them a chance to actually do something before the game's up. Let's see. Round 4, you can re-roll, I don't know why that word is so hard for me today, wound rolls of 1 for attacks made with melee weapons by this unit. Wonderful. And for the 5th round, you can re-roll save rolls of 1 for attacks that target this unit. In addition, do not take battle shock tests. So at this point, I mean, most of the time attrition has spent your entire army, and it's just a nice little buff at the end there to not worry about units getting battle shocked off the board. In addition, they also have Fanatical Faith. Roll a dice each time a wound or a mortal wound is allocated to a friendly Daughters of Khaine model. On a 6, it is negated. Why? Because they're basically bone splitters, but look better doing it. That's basically all they are. And then it has the stuff for temples, where if you can take a keyword assigned to a temple, you gain its rules. You have to take any, required stuff for that. And if a unit already has a temple on their thing, they can join your army, but they don't gain the benefits. Put very simply. Now, command traits. Let's see. We have my favorite here is, I love the name of it, Zealous Orator. Add to the bravery characteristic of friendly Daughters of Khaine units while they're wholly within 12 inches. Not a great rule. Love the name. Let's see. A lot of these, honestly, they're just ways to make your general better in battle. That's honestly the main focus of a lot of this stuff. At least for the Daughters of Khaine elf ones. Now, when you get into the Medusa and the Iron Scale, I think things get a little more interesting. In your hero phase, you can reroll one casting, dispelling, or unbinding roll for this general. I like that kind of stuff. It's simple. You just get a reroll. Subtract one from hit rolls that target this person, so that's Medusa. And there's also a Battle Shock prevention one. When we get to the Iron Scale, which I like that name. On a 4-up, you receive a command point every single round. Let's see. Add 1 to save rolls for any attacks that target this general, and fueled by a revenge. Once per battle in your hero phase, you can use the Wrath of the Scathborn command ability on this general's war scroll without spending any command points, which we'll get to that. So that's cool. Honestly, I feel like the temples are so iconic with this faction that these are all very lackluster, and people are going to gravitate towards you taking a temple, which locks you into things anyway. As far as the Gifts of Morathi, so this is Daughters of Khaine heroes. Any of them can take this. I'm not going to read through all of them. Basically, I didn't see anything that was standing out to me, oh my god, that's incredible. There's, the kind of stuff that you'd expect, which is a better weapon, an extra spell from the spell lore, the bearer knows one extra prayer. There's just, stuff that we're used to. Now, I do know that they made a quick change to, Mindraiser, I believe. They made it harder to cast. Casting value of 8, I think it used to be a 7. Pick one friendly Daughters of Khaine unit, hold within 18 inches of the caster. Improve the rend characteristic of that unit's melee weapons by 1 until your next hero phase. In addition, until your next hero phase, add 1 to the damage characteristic of that unit's melee weapons if it made a charge in the same move. Nuts. I like it. It's really good. Let's see. And was it... Catechism of Murder is a prayer that lets you have exploding 6s. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I'm not seeing a ton that is standing out. I'm sure, Daughters of Khaine players are screaming right now. I'm just it's so different. But the truth is, it didn't gain any new models. I'll throw this here. And I feel like this was even more of just a reconfiguring, so to speak, of the existing battletome, as opposed to Slaanesh, where they took it, cleaned it up, and expanded it. They really only the new unit they have is the Morgwaith and the Bloodied, the Underworld's warband. But even then, if you watched my my video on the Slaanesh book, I don't know. It just... I feel like they did a better job on that one. Okay, let's go back to the temples here. So for Hagnar, add 1 to the current battle round when you look into the abilities gained. Solid and consistent and very easy to remember. I appreciate that. Command ability. You can use this command ability at the start of your movement phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly Hagnar Cauldron of Blood within 3 inches of friendly Hagnar units that have 3 or more models, and wholly within 12 inches of the Hagnar hero. My god, that's a mouthful. Add 3 inches to the move characteristic of that cauldron. Oh my god, it's so much wording to just say, hey, your cauldron goes 3 inches faster. That's it. That's all you're trying to say. Ease up. And they have the Fanatical Faith goes off on a 5-up instead of a 6-up. Let's see. Drakey Ganeth. Improve the rend characteristic of melee weapons used by Drakey Ganeth Witch Elves. Units and friendly Drakey Ganeth Sisters of Slaughter, so that's really the infantry-focused one. Given their baseline unit rend is phenomenal. Let's see. Artifact of Power, pick 1 of the bearer's melee weapons, add 2 to the attack's characteristic, so it just makes her super nasty, like most of the artifacts do. It's all about murder and blood and stuff. The Kraith, which is one that I liked quite a bit. At the end of the combat phase, you can roll a dice for each friendly Kraith Sisters of Slaughter unit that fought once in that phase. On a 5-up, you can fight a second time. Now, my understanding was the way that this worked before was that a unit from the Kraith would fight, and they'd roll a die, and on a 6 they would fight again, or something like that. It was very similar to that. I apologize, I can't possibly remember every single rule from every battletome. But yeah, I don't know, I like that. I mean, I played against Chuck Moore, Strength Hammer at Nova, had a wonderful time, and I believe at least at one point his Kraith stuff went off without a hitch, and he was able to basically double tap and just murder a unit. Let's see, command ability. Add 1 to the wound rolls for attacks made by that unit in that phase. The same benefit cannot be used. Okay, just makes them better hitting, or wounding, sorry. Then we have Calibron, which has been my favorite thematically, where it's all about the shadowy assassinness, kind of a thing. Concealment, stealth, and obfuscation. Subtract 1 from hit rolls made with missile weapons that target these units. Not getting hit's the best kind of armor there is. You can use this command ability at the end of your movement phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly Calibron unit, wholly within 12 inches of a Calibron hero. That is the general. Remove that unit from the battlefield and set it up. You get a redeploy. I like that kind of stuff. And it's anywhere on the battlefield outside 9. So it's just wonderful for being able to just launch something. And the fact is, that's a weapon in your pocket the entire game. Like, your opponent doesn't have the luxury of ignoring that. And I absolutely love that kind of stuff. Then there is Kelt Nar, which is, I don't remember them from before, but maybe I'm just misremembering. All of them can retreat and charge still later in the turn. That's wonderful because of its simplicity. Like, honestly, I like that kind of stuff where it's just like, this is just the thing my army does. Everybody does it. You can use this ability at the start of the combat phase. I'm reading her command ability now. Pick 1 friendly Neltkar unit wholly within 12 inches of a Neltkar hero. Through your next hero phase, if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a melee weapon that targets the Kelt Nar unit is 1, the attacking unit suffers a mortal wound. So, your opponent doesn't want to be rolling any 1s. And then we actually have one of our newest, the Zanthar Kai. And it's just a really heavy emphasis on snake ladies. Add 1 of the bravery characteristic of Zanthar Kai, Melusai, and Kineri. Your hero can choose 1 additional artifact of power, so you're at least running 2. If not, obviously if you build a battalion, you bring more. Command ability. Once per phase. Sorry. You can use this command ability once per phase when you pick a friendly Melusai or Kineri unit to fight, and that unit is wholly within 12 inches of a friendly Zanthar Kai hero. If you do so, add 1 to the attack's characteristic of melee weapons used by that unit till the end of the phase. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Let's see, because that can happen on your opponent's turn, right? You can use this command ability once per phase when you pick 1 of those units to fight, and it's wholly within 12 inches of the hero. Yeah. So, if nothing else, it gives you a chance to be a little bit more reactionary. You can, maybe your opponent really wants to fight over here, but if you put this buff on the unit on the opposite side, now you're making hard choices for them. That's at least the first thing that comes to my mind. All right, and those are our temples. So let's take a look here. Path to Glory, of course. Now, for me, this to me is one of the most important sections of the book. I love the idea of battalions because I want to be able to create these narrative lists that do incredible things that replicate the kind of forces that would be seen in the Mortal Realms. They even have like a little force org chart of how all this stuff works, and I absolutely love it. Now, this is a section that I thought the last book absolutely nailed it, and honestly, not a lot has changed, if I'm being completely honest with you. There's still the Vampiric Guard, which is Marathi. Now you take both her forms for 1 cost. All the changes that happened in Broken Realms, or at least, maybe not the exact wording, but everything came forward. Vampiric Guard, so it's kind of like her little entourage. That's super cool. What do we got? The Shrine Broods. We have 2 Bloodrack Shrines and 2 units of the Harpies. and 2 units of Blood Sisters or Blood Stalkers. So this is your Snake Lady battalion. In your hero phase, you can pick any number of units from this battalion that are within 6 inches of the Blood-Racked Shrine from the same battalion. 1 model from each unit you picked is slain. You can heal 1 wound allocated. So basically, your Blood-Racked Shrine can sap the life out of others to keep going. Which, I mean, those things can be super nasty in combat, so I'm not opposed to it. And then also there's stuff over here where it's more your infantry-based stuff. We have Sisters of Slaughter, Heartrenders, Witch Elves, Canary Life Takers. One thing I will say they did a much better job, or at least it feels like, unless I'm just totally misremembering the old battalions, is I feel like Canary, the flying ones, the Harpy Ladies, are just included in more things. Like they're in, what? 1, 2, 3, yeah. All the battalions that are focused on infantry, they always have the option or are mandatory. I'm like, that's actually kind of nice because they get to do more. So anyway, as far as like being able to make a thematic army, I like it quite a bit. For me, I would probably go with something like a Shrine Brood because those are the models that interest me the most. And from there, maybe a Shadow Patrol. In your movement phase, instead of making a normal move from this battalion, you can say that it will navigate the shadow path. You can remove from the table and set it up again later on the battlefield more than 9 inches from enemy units. So like all these dudes get to teleport. I love it. It's absolutely amazing. It's 2 units of Doomfire Warlocks and 4 units of Canary Harpies. So of course, again, reprint from Broken Realms. There's Morathi Kane, Super Wizard, the Shadow Queen, Melee Beast. The 2 exist on the table at the same time. Any wounds that go to Morathi Kane are applied to Shadow Queen, and she can only take 3 wounds a round, period. And he's got to deal with both of them. It's a real pain. The Blood-Racked Shrine and the Blood-Racked Medusa are both super interesting. I'm probably going to give things a minute to settle, like in terms of people's reaction to this, and then ask some people that play Daughters of Khaine that I know, like as far as the Start Collecting box goes, because it's so much of some of these units, what they feel about it. Because I did like the Blood-Racked Shrine quite a bit from my last Start Collecting box review. And I've always liked the Medusa, but I just hated the fact that there was no way to get her on her own. The Iron Scale is the new mini hero that came with Shadow and Pain, I believe. Amazing model. Let's see. Wrath of the Scathborn. This is the one that if you take that certain... is it a temple or something like that? You can use this for free. You can use this command ability once per turn in your hero phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly Melusai unit wholly within 12 inches of this model. Until your next hero phase, that unit can run and still shoot and or charge later in the same turn. In addition, until your next hero phase, you can roll 2d6 instead of d6 when you make a run roll for that unit. So supercharges 1 unit a turn. Yes. I don't see any downside to that. I like it. I like that he did the ultimate, like, it works for anything with the, it can run, shoot, and or charge. Just do whatever you want. Leave me alone. Here is our Underworld's Warband. They do my favorite thing that any of these warbands do. The Blade Coven, the gals who go with her, roll a dice before you allocate a wound or a mortal wound to the hero that the warband's usually named after. On a 2-up, it goes to one of these instead of to the hero, which I love that stuff. Because it allows their named characters, they can't take artifacts or command traits, but it allows them to move up and like do stuff, you know? She still has the Witch Brew, which allows, let's see. At start of hero phase, you can pick 1 friendly Daughters of Khaine unit wholly within 12 inches of this model to drink Witch Brew. If you do so, roll a dice adding 1 to the roll for each of the following abilities this model has gained. And of course it's saying what turn is it, essentially. So yeah. On a 5-up, you can reroll wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by that unit until your next hero phase. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the Witch Brew, and having, you know, a couple of there's 4 wounds that can be passed off actually helps to get her there. So I do appreciate that they gave her that rule. I don't remember if it was before, but to be honest, I don't generally look for the Underworld's warbands. The Witch Brew is the exact same for everybody else. We have our Slaughter Queen, Kanite Shadow Stalkers. So this is our Horde units. They don't look vastly changed. I don't think that they were... Witch Elves. 10 for 30 at 100 points each in battle line, and they die to a stiff breeze, theoretically. That's cool. I mean, you know, again, they are a big brick of Horde units. What are the Blood Sisters and Stalkers? 130. Okay. You can see that. They're a little more resilient. Let's see. And Doomfire Warlocks are still a thing, apparently. Doomfire Warlocks has any number of models, each armed with a Doomfire crossbow and cursed scimitar. Okay. Yeah, and they do have the same rule, like where the larger the unit, you have a better chance at casting things. Yeah. Let's see. It cannot attempt to cast any other spells other than Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Doomfire, which makes sense. That was their thing before. As far as the other stuff here, we have the Avatar of Kane, who, remember, turn 3, no matter what, he starts the game as a statue who can be animated with a prayer from your heroes, and then now, which is interesting, add 1 to prayer rolls for friendly Daughters of Khaine priests while they're wholly within 9 inches of any models with this ability. So if they're even near him, he just gets better at coming to life. I think they really wanted to see more Avatars of Khaine on the table, which I am also super for. Where's he at? Avatar Khaine. Avatar Khaine for 130 as a behemoth. 9 wounds, 4 up save. I like him. I mean, I do. I like that they made it so much easier to get him. So turn 3 on, he just is a wrecking ball. 9-inch move, 9 wounds. The idea is, I believe, you probably want like the cheapest hero possible who can pray to help escort him up the table so that on turn 3 he can go full berserk mode. And that's what I'd like to see, to be honest, because that's a lot of thinking about the game in terms of late game, early game, that kind of stuff. I absolutely love it. Like if you're thinking of your army as a 1-2 punch, everything being fast and horde based is your 1 punch, and the second is something like this where I mean, even at a 4 up, he's still more resilient than the Daughters of Khaine or the Witch Elves, and he can deliver a huge blow with a Ren 2 damage 3 weapon. Then we have the Blood Sisters here. Let's see, I think they used to have 2 profiles for their stare. Turn a crystal. At the end of the combat phase, you can pick 1 enemy unit within 1 inch of this unit. Roll 1 dice for each model in this unit. For every 3 up, the enemy suffers 1 mortal wound. So the more Snake Ladies you have in melee combat, the more of the enemy that's dying. And Blood Stalkers, if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a Heartseeker bow is 6, that attack inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target, and the attack sequence ends. If it was an addition to, it would be cooking with fire, but ending is just kind of a strange one. Let's see. 24-inch range. It's a great range for a bow. 2 attacks, 3s to hit, 3s to wound, -1 rend. Yeah. I'm not super sold on these. I love the Blood Sisters. And both of these become, I believe, battle line if you have... battle line if the Blood Rack Medusa or Melusai Iron Scale are your general. So that's cool. Yeah, can someone in the comments below, like, how do we get work out of the Stalkers? I don't know. Then there's the Knirai. Definitely my favorite models from the entire faction. There is the melee variant, and then the ones who basically throw a harpoon, which is just... should absolutely be on their Tinder profile. And a lot of this is just... let's see... they focus a lot on like different kinds of deployment and moving around, being... I don't know, that's the thing. They so die to a stiff breeze. There's just a handful of them in a unit, 1 wound with a 6-up save. It doesn't matter how fast they move or if they can teleport away. The second that they are targeted, man, they just evaporate. And unfortunately, I didn't see any way to make them battle line. Nope. Man, a box of those is only 80 points, but I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a letdown. I feel like they did a lot more for the Snake Ladies and really kicked it up a notch there. I don't know why I said that. I sound like Emerald. But I feel like the Khaine kind of got the raw end of the stick. They just kind of got copy-pasted. The Bloodrack Viper, we saw a preview for this. Basically, after this model has moved, the player who moved this endless spell must pick 1 unit within 1 inch of it and roll 3 dice. For each roll that is equal to or greater than the wounds characteristic, 1 model is slain. Interesting idea. I like how it's capped, but it will kill stuff, and it can kill important things. The Blade Wind is super fun. So it's like a normal like magic missile type thing. It damages whatever it's near. But I love the fact that in addition, do not apply cover modifiers to save rolls for attacks that target units that are within 12 inches. So he can steal cover bonuses from people. I like that. I guess it's, the cover modifier. Yeah, so it's just cover. And then there's the Heart of Fury, which we saw before. This one, there's actually 2 endless spells and 1 prayer. That's important because this is the first box that I can think of where we've gotten both. We've had like Khorne where it's all prayers, same thing with Fire Slayers, and then obviously endless spells, but never one that walks both lines. It's a model, you can attack it. In your hero phase, 1 friendly Daughters of Khaine priest can attempt to summon it. On a 3-up, the invocation roll is successful. You put it within 12 inches of the hero who summoned it. Locus of the Murder God. Subtract 1 from the damage inflicted to a minimum of 1 by each successful attack that targets a Daughters of Khaine unit wholly within 12 inches of this model. So, Snake Ladies rejoice. If you have a front line of Blood Stalkers, or Blood Sisters, I'm sorry. Yeah, Blood Sisters, the melee variant. You can actually keep them alive for some amount of time. Right? They have 2 wounds each. I thought they had 3. Man, I must be just losing my mind. I could have swore that they had 3 wounds each. It's fine. That's fine. They're not going to get insta-killed by a 2-wound weapon, which is nice. At the end of each battle round, if this model is on the battlefield, the player who set up this model must roll a dice. Add 1 to the roll if there are any avatars of Kane within 6 inches of this model. On a 1 through 3, it's removed from the battlefield. Okay. I don't see it. I don't see the amazingly awesome, cool thing here. I actually really dig the other 2. This is the one where I'm a little perplexed, because in a faction that is so dominated by 1 to 2 wound models, it's really good for your heroes. It's obviously really good for Morathi to be near this. Right? Because she's a Daughters of Khaine unit, she can be wholly within it, so that would subtract 1 from the damage to a minimum of 1. So, but that wouldn't really help her because she's taken a max of 3 anyway. Yeah, I don't know. It would make your opponent throw more attacks at her. So, this is one where, can someone explain to me in the comments below why this would be awesome? I love the fact that if you were to pile the Bloodrack Viper into a unit of Paladins for Stormcast, if you roll a 3-up, it takes away a Paladin, which is so much killing power. I like the Blade Wind because I like things that play with cover, a lot. I don't know. I really just dig it. So let me give you my final thoughts here as we kind of wind down. Daughters of Khaine are not my favorite when it comes to their lore. I love Morathi as a character, and I love everything about them. It's just not an army that I want to play. I mentioned before at the top of this review that when I look at these books, I think to myself, can I read some incredible lore, and then can I bring it to the tabletop? Can I bring it to life with a friend and do some storytelling with how we build our lists? I would say absolutely. It definitely can do that. I feel like Khaine are not nearly... Like, I don't just want to see good things made worse. I want to see bad things made better when it comes to new books. And I feel like they nailed it with the new temple they added that really focuses on snake ladies, the blood rack, the blood sisters and the blood stalkers. Like, I like those things. I like that, you know, there are some tweaks made, but on the whole, if you have a horde army of witch elves, it's still great. I just don't know why the Khaine didn't get that same buff. To be honest with you, what I would do, you know, points aside, just of having models you like on the table, I would have given all of the Melusai 3 wounds and all the Khaine 2. That way there's at least something different about them from the Witch Elves coming at you, right? Like, I'm fine with large horde units of 1 wound models that died with Stiff Breeze, but these are specialized things. They can have something, you know? So that's just my thought. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it down below. I like the fact that the battletome is completely up to date. It mentions her seizing Anvil Guard. Now, this city that she turned it into is actually a Cities of Sigmar thing. But yeah, I don't know. I just love it. It's good. It's a very well done book. It doesn't tempt me to jump into it. Like, I was actually tempted to pick up Slaanesh because of this book. It is freaking cool. With the Daughters of Khaine, it didn't tempt me. However, I can look at this, and with enough knowledge of the faction and the game, I can very reasonably say, if there's any kind of narrative army that you are excited about, you can play it, you know? I don't look at any of the temples as being, like, totally awful. They all offer something, but they're all very different. In terms of keeping track of different things, or my favorite, again, Calibron, the shadowy ones that can disappear and come back to the table. Love that stuff. Eat it for breakfast. So, all in all, I give it, I mean, I don't know about play balance-wise. The problem is, like, the issues that I had with the faction, I'm not a tournament player. I'm not a competitive player. I play to bring stories to life and move some cool painted models around. The thing is, the problems that I had are still present, which is there's too many of the heroes locked up in a single old kit that is the Cauldron kit. And that is the thing that just always kind of turns me away from the faction. But for the people who love it, I think you're going to like this book. If nothing else, it kind of cleans up a lot of the wording, I can already tell. I personally want to see more Avatars of Kane, and I want to see more Blood Sisters. This entire page, I feel like they just wrote this first and then kind of wrote everything else around it, and I'm totally cool with that, with the exception of the Melusai on the next page, or Khaine, I'm sorry. Anyway, those are my thoughts, friends. I'd love to hear yours in the description down below. Again, I know I didn't read everything word for word. If you want to hear that, go check out Gorilla Miniature Gaming. He's a great guy, and let's have this discussion down below, because again, are you excited for Snake Lady armies? Because I sure am. I like it when a book has multiple ways to play, you know, that are just as valid as each other. So let me know what you're excited for in the comments down below. Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed that video. It was made possible by the folks over here to the left. These are my top supporters over here on YouTube and on Patreon that keep this channel going. If you'd like to learn more about how to become a supporter and get some cool things in the process, like exclusive pictures and interactions with me, and get your questions answered here on the channel, go ahead and click any of the links down below or the join button on the community page over on YouTube. Regardless of your choice, I wanted to thank you so much for joining me with this video, and I look forward to seeing you in my next one. Happy wargaming.